appreciate you taking out time today when it's super busy, manic times here, and giving an hour for this is amazing. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no, thanks a million for inviting me on, Samir. So it's a pleasure to even branch out and network at this event with how busy it is.
Right, and Dean, I see. I mean, looking at you, I can figure out that you've got some really good supplements going for you. I mean, obviously the workout is there, but tell us about what you do. I mean, what does your company do? A brief about about something that people would want to listen to, hear about your organization.
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Dean St Mart. I'm the product formulator.
So you're an actual doctor, is it?
I'm a PhD.
Oh, I'm also a PhD doctor. So I used to always feel, nice, good to meet another PhD doctor.
So PhD in chemistry. So I'm the product formulator for Supplement Needs, which is a UK-based independent supplement company. I take care of all aspects of product manufacturing alongside the managing director, Lee. So Supplement Needs originally started with Lee in his bedroom selling online supplements, and then progressed it to a brick and mortar supplement shop, and then progressed to launching the Supplement Needs own brand range of products. I became friends with Lee sometime in 2017, just before the brand was launched, and at the time I was working as a chemical engineer for Intel, so I was working shifts of day shift and night shift, and that sort of led to some challenges that I was then personally using some supplements to combat recovery for bodybuilding, with working night shifts and taking care of my health, taking care of my heart. So I approached Lee with some ideas.
Well, you're probably the fittest looking chemical engineer I've ever seen in my life. so the supplement is definitely working.
Yeah, so when I finished my PhD in chemistry, I chose not to go into drug design. I chose to go into chemical engineering, and more so out of convenience. It was right beside the university, the Intel plant. So during that, I started to develop, thought processes of problem solving and looking at, root causes. So, for example, heart disease. What triggers off heart disease? What are the mechanisms of disease that contribute to heart disease? And that sort of thought process then led me to look at sleep when I was working night shift. How can I figure out the biochemistry of sleep? And so I started to realise that sleep was all about increasing the level of serotonin in your brain, lowering the amount of dopamine, and getting your brain to produce its own melatonin during sleep. And that's sort of famously where I came up with the 6 ingredients for our flagship product known as Sleep Stack. And that's what I approached Lee with when he started up the supplement company. He had like a ZMA product.
I used to always use it. I'm absolutely sleep deprived. Even when I have to, so I'll tell you my schedule. I left the UK, I think 3 days back. I flew into Singapore, which is about a 14-hour flight. Singapore is 7 hours ahead of us. So I said, I'm not going to sleep because I actually have a problem of not being able to sleep. So, and this is in spite of working out and being awake and being active the whole day, I still can't get sleep. So I landed into Singapore. I said, I'm not going to sleep tonight, because if I sleep tonight, I'm not going to sleep the next day. So I kept myself awake because I had to come in here for this podcast, and I had only 2 days. And you'll not believe it, I could not sleep the second day as well. I couldn't get a minute's sleep. And I said, in a way, it's good so that I can sleep on the flight. And then my flight got delayed by 14 and a half hours. So I cancelled that flight. I took a flight which is now 19 hours, which stops over at Istanbul. So I took that flight, and I could manage to get about 4.5 hours of sleep. And I know for a fact I won't be able to sleep even tonight. So I understand. And I think one of the biggest things that is undermined in the fitness industry is the importance of sleep. While I keep joking with people, that if you sleep 8 hours a day and you live to the age of 60, you slept for 20 years. But the fact of the matter is, most people require 8 hours of sleep. And it's also, so I recently started using Whoop, which helps me understand, the quality of sleep, and I realized it's horrible quality of sleep. And especially on the day when you drink, it's scary. And you feel you slept, you slept for 8, 9, that's probably the time I get the best or the longest sleep in terms of number of hours, but you wake up and you see recovery is not good. So tell us something about, how did you think of sleep, and I, like you said, obviously you're in different shifts, but how do you solve this problem of sleep for people like me? Like, I'm the consumer now, talking to you as a consumer.
So I actually gave a talk over on the stage earlier today about sleep made simple using functional medicine. So when I was working night shifts, you get this sort of regular dram of occupational health giving you some lectures of how to survive night shift, but to be honest, a lot of what they tell you doesn't really work.
Right.
So obviously at the time, I'm now a retired bodybuilder, so I was bodybuilding, competing when I was working night shifts.
Wow.
So I had to figure out how to recover from training hard and doing bodybuilding shows with night shift work.
Right.
And so I started to look into the biochemistry of how we fall asleep. So everyone's like a familiar probably with how our brain relaxes and it goes into these different brainwave states, and then you go into light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep. But we never actually looked at the chemical processes that's happening in the brain for you to fall asleep. And effectively for sleep onset, which is how you fall asleep, you have to have an elevation in serotonin in your brain. So serotonin everyone views as this happy, feel-good neurotransmitter. But to be honest, serotonin makes you lazy. And we start to see it in guys who have like high serotonin, they're very, very lazy, versus guys who have high dopamine who are very driven. But to fall asleep, you need an elevation in serotonin to get you to calm down and enter into those what we'd consider alpha brainwave state, where you're almost daydreaming and getting ready to fall asleep. But one thing that people don't realize is that melatonin, that is the hormone that makes you go to sleep, is actually made from serotonin in your brain. So when you're sleeping, your melatonin that your brain is using to keep you asleep is being made from the serotonin that your brain made originally. So in order to fall asleep and stay asleep, you have to have high melatonin being made from your serotonin, but high serotonin made in the first place. Then the other branch is you need to have low dopamine so that your brain isn't excited when you're trying to fall asleep. And so you have to look at strategies to reduce dopamine. So we all know about sleep hygiene and doing, relaxation techniques, avoiding stimulatory activities like looking at your phone, looking at emails, stuff like that.
Black
Coffee, caffeine, stimulating how you're again blocking adenosine from building up to bring that sleep pressure on. But dopamine, in terms of sleep hygiene, you see that your environment, your rituals before bed controls how your brain is going to be thinking in the minutes before you hit your head to the pillow. But there's also an enzymatic component to dopamine, in that you have an enzyme called COMT. And COMT effectively breaks down dopamine in your brain to its metabolite. But a lot of people don't realize that COMT also works to excrete estrogen from the body, and it's heavily reliant on magnesium. So, and we look, a lot of athletes or even general population is completely deficient in magnesium.
Yeah, they are.
And magnesium, the RDA is set at 400 milligrams. Again, if you're eating a normal Western diet, you're not getting anywhere near that.
Not a chance.
And even if you're an athlete, it's highly unlikely, unless you're eating quite a lot of green leafy veg, that you're never going to get near that 400 milligrams. And even then, most athletes will require between 600 and 800 milligrams because of all the processes that magnesium is involved in surrounding our training and our recovery. So you start to see that a lot of sleep issues come down to that elevation in dopamine, not enough serotonin, and then what I call like brain chasing activities, where you lie down and you're thinking about work the next morning, or you're thinking about the next day's
But
activities.
everybody does that. So I mean, most people can't switch off. A lot of times. So I've tried meditation. I know a lot of my friends have tried meditation, and when they try to do it, you can't get your brain to sit still. I mean, just your mind just keeps going all over the place. The moment you say, if I have an important meeting, I need to wake up early in the morning, I will not get sleep for sure. How do you control that? It's very difficult. So
yeah. I mean, almost what you need to have is, you have obviously a brain dumping where you're scribbling things down to get stuff out of your brain before sleep. That's almost like a cognitive behavioural approach to trying to get rid of some of the thoughts that are going to spiral in your brain. But it really is like what you said. People, when they try to meditate, often fail because they can never view it as that sort of sitting on top of the hill and just letting the thoughts race by. You're sort of chasing after cars with each thought. And again, that fuels more dopamine, because the more you think, the more your brain gets excited, and it becomes a vicious circle where then you're trying to fall asleep, but your brain is that wired, it's not calming down. So the serotonin that's trying to make you fall asleep is getting dominated by your dopamine.
True.
So again, I guess you have to get to an acceptance that the sort of 90 minutes before bed is when you want to probably try and start calming down. And at that point, if you have to think or get rid of thoughts of an important meeting, try and get that out of your brain
Put it on paper.
onto paper, and then forget about it.
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea. I'm going to use this. I've never done this, so and to the extent, back in the day, when we didn't have such advanced mobile phones, I would sleep with a post-it next to me. So if I had any thought at night, I would wake up and write, but I won't sleep. So I would keep having thoughts, in my head, and I try to do a lot of things to get that sorted. So I think it's very important to have the right supplementation for good sleep. Obviously, there is, you need to have discipline around it as to what you need to do before you go to sleep. But you also need to have the right supplementation.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, the point you made about, like, example, magnesium, right? A lot of people across the world are deficient on some vitamins and minerals, which everybody knows, which is a fact. So, like example, vitamin B12, vitamin D are massively, ignored by people, especially because of the kind of diet we've got.
Yeah.
And like you said, magnesium as well is very difficult to get it from the normal diet that we've got. Not a chance in the UK that you're going to get it from the diet that you have here.
Yeah.
Unless you completely change that, and which is very difficult to do because it's a big, massive lifestyle change. So supplements are required. So there is a negative connotation. And I remember before the pod we discussed about this also. Perception around that supplements are only required by bodybuilders if you're competing.
Yeah.
While everybody, supplements are another form of food. Yes, if you can get it, I always tell people, and I tell it to myself, if I can get it from normal whole food, I do not need supplements. But if I'm not getting it because of the current lifestyle that all of us have, then I should be supplementing myself with the right things.
Yeah.
So tell us, when you said that you started and this was your flagship product around sleep, and then how did you diversify, and what all do you do at the moment? And in this journey, when I don't think a lot of people look at sleep-based supplements in the past. The one supplement that everybody looked was ZMA.
Yeah,
and that was like the only one supplement that you required, and it will be like as if you have one ZMA tablet and you're going to give a knockout effect in the sleep.
ZMA was basically zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6.
Yeah.
So when Lee showed me the ZMA product, I said to him, hang on, I've got this 6 ingredient supplement list, because I was just buying the 6 ingredients myself. I said to him, this product, I guarantee you, if we launch this as a product, this will sell. Mm-hmm. So initially it started off as a trial, so we got the 6 ingredients, and that was 5-HTP for your serotonin, P5P, which is the active form of vitamin B6. Mm-hmm. Effectively, vitamin B6 converts your 5-HTP to serotonin.
Correct.
Vitamin B5 is involved in the enzyme that turns serotonin to melatonin. Mm-hmm. And then you have your classic magnesium bisglycinate, so you've got magnesium with glycine, so you're giving the body 150 milligrams of magnesium, which is almost half the RDA.
Yeah.
You're giving it some glycine, that acts on GABA in your brain to calm the brain down. L-theanine, which is within T, the amino acid, to effectively again act on the GABA receptors to get the brain to calm down. And zinc monomethionine, more so again zinc for nervous system relaxation, which was in ZMA, but the methionine version, because effectively you need a level of methionine to feed into metal donor synthesis, which is how your genes turn on and off, but more so for neurotransmitter creation. So it's helping you make more serotonin. So those 6 ingredients, when we first launched it was effectively, you bought 6 tubs. We trialed it with I think about 300 customers, and then we said, okay, everyone has given extremely positive feedback. Let's now put all 6 into a 2 capsule serving, into the 1 tub. So now, instead of me having to go on like Amazon and buy 6 different products,
you're actually doing that, is it?
Yeah, you bought 1 tub, and you take 2 capsules. So effectively, what I said to Lee was, what we need to do here is solve a problem that a lot of people have when they buy supplements, and that's having a cupboard filled with supplements when you're taking them all sort of for the same thing. Mm-hmm. Let's combine them into the 1 tub, and you're able to buy 1 tub and take 2 capsules. And when I was a bodybuilder, especially for heart health, you're taking maybe 10 or 12 things for your heart, like garlic extract, grapeseed extract. That my Sunday nights, or like the first hour of the week, I'd be literally with a pill box taking one out to fill up for the week. And I thought at the time there has to be a simpler approach to this. So from Sleep Stack, we then diverged into looking at taking care of bodybuilders' health, so liver health, kidneys, blood pressure, heart. So effectively we made stacks, which were multi-ingredient products, but again it solved that problem of a bodybuilder having to buy 6 different ingredients. They just bought one product and took the serving on the tub. So we moved from sleep stack to liver stack, and liver stack was effectively to help enhanced bodybuilders protect their liver by ensuring that the liver is able to correctly detoxify, but it doesn't it effectively improves your bile flow with tudka, which is a bile salt, in order to ensure that none of your cholesterol will crystallize in your liver and cause fatty liver or any other problems like that.
Right. And this is also, so when you say, when you support bodybuilders, do you also look at some PCTs for them? Do you?
No, so not with PCT. So we've sort of stayed away from the male hormonal aspects.
Right.
And the main reason for that is me personally, as a scientist, a lot of the data that's out there, natural testosterone booster is just rubbish.
Yeah.
And it's something that I personally, how our company's built on transparency and efficacy, I could not make a supplement that has like tribulus or, Fedosia, all these sort of things that have really picked up hype this year. And again, we'll see.
And I don't know why it's picked up, but it's just...
The supplement industry is like a cyclical process where something falls out of fad and then someone says about it and it becomes a big thing. So that is one.
The other thing that's doing circles now is the lion's mane. If you so I don't know. I mean, if these are actually effective or they're just fads. Like biohacking is a big thing now.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't know if it is only if there is some merit to biohacking, or is it just people talking about it? It's trending, so the red light treatments, and like the big trend now is obviously water immersion and getting into cold water, ice baths, and it suddenly just become like everybody has to have them, otherwise you're not going to live long enough, or otherwise you're going to have a lot of inflammation. So what, as a scientist, how do you see these things?
Some of it has good merit in that, obviously we want to support recovery process. Inflammation is probably one of the biggest drivers of disease and hugely underrated, but a lot of that inflammation that's driven is probably through nutrition and what we're doing in our environment.
Right.
So effectively, like I said, with liver stack, that was to improve bile flow. Heart stack was actually designed to prevent your LDL, your bad cholesterol, if you want to call it, from being oxidized.
Yeah.
So this is a whole new aspect on supplementation where I began to educate people on, yes, having high LDL is damaging because you're transporting more cholesterol through the body, but in some cases that can be a good thing because your body's bringing more fat through the body and you're building more cellular membranes. The risk factor to heart disease is when that LDL gets oxidized and damaged.
Absolutely.
And then it starts developing plaques. So the heart stack was effectively then designed to give the body a ton of polyphenols and antioxidants. So you're talking all 8 forms of vitamin E. So rather than like looking and going, let's put alpha tocopherol in, we put all 8 forms as a trademarked version. And again, that stood to our ethos, of using only the highest quality, but actually dealing off the literature that looked at using this sort of trademark form of vitamin E known as Evenol. And then layered on top of that, you have like grapeseed extract, allicin from garlic, CoQ10, astaxanthin. Everything I could find literature to support its use as an antioxidant or polyphenol went into Heart Stack. And now currently it's been reformulated twice over the last 4 years, has 15 ingredients in it.
Wow.
And I mean, that is sort of where we stand, that we don't skimp. So Heart Stack is a 6 capsule serving, but it has effectively 15 ingredients in it. So how we sort of built the company was looking at, again, that problem of the pain point of having 15 supplements or one tub. So rather than have like your wife or your girlfriend complain of all these supplements in the cupboard, you've got one tub. So that was a big selling point to the company. And effectively then, from a bodybuilding perspective, liver stack, heart stack, kidney stack, it was 8 capsules, 6 capsules, 8 capsules, but only 3 tubes. And you're pretty much covering all bases of your major internal organs. So we built a big brand following with a lot of top level bodybuilders within the UK and Europe.
No, I've seen that, absolutely.
And it's effectively grown then into Hi, I'm Dr. Dean St Mart, formulator for supplement needs, and originally I was a sponsored athlete of the company, joining in May 2018. However, last year in August 2021, I left my full-time job. Looking at other aspects or avenues to supplementation, so where else can we support? And where we're sitting now, the company is effectively beginning to divide into 4 different areas. So you've got your health range, which is all our bespoke health products. We've got the performance range, which is the likes of our amino acids, our proteins, carbohydrates, pre-workouts. We have our vegan range, which is going to launch now in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
I absolutely don't like vegans, honestly. I think it's the biggest farce in the world.
Yeah, but with this vegan range, where we've gone down with the vegan protein is I've effectively created a vegan protein that mimics whey isolate. So for those who are lactose intolerant, they can use this plant-based product. So with vegans, I done a podcast a few months ago dealing about all the food tribes. I mean, you dissect them all, it's just lunacy. But plant-based products, it's interesting because if you look at the research, in order to make 1 kilo of dairy whey, you need to consume 6 kilos of plant material to generate that from a cow. Not to say one is bad or good for the environment over there, I don't stand in any position there. But when I was looking at how I can make a sort of dairy-free whey protein, I effectively looked at what's the amino acid composition of dairy whey, and how can I create that with a vegan protein. And so rather than being scrupulous where guys do, supplement companies make vegan proteins that are basically pea protein that will have you all bloated and farting. And you have brown rice, you have disgusting tasting vegan proteins.
Tell me about it.
That tastes like you're eating earth. Like our vegan product, it's called Vegan ISO Plus. That took about 9 months to develop because every time we trial, a new sort of variant or a new sample or a new flavor, I wasn't happy until it tasted the exact same as when you drank a whey isolate drink. I didn't want any of the earthiness, I didn't want any plant, I didn't want any of the bloating. So effectively we went with, again, our sort of ethos with a pumpkin-based protein as the sort of 60% of the protein's pumpkin. A small percentage, 20% are pea, because pea does have a good spectrum of amino acids. And then 15% free-form essential amino acids added into the blend to raise the amino acid profile. But just because you're mimicking the whey amino acid profile didn't mean that we're going to match the digestive capabilities. So then what we looked at was, okay, the main component of pea protein that effectively bloats you is the FOS, the fructooligosaccharides aspect of the carbohydrate. So let's include alpha-galactosidase, the enzyme that breaks down FOS, so you don't get that bloating. And then furthermore, we put in a trademarked protease, proteolytic enzyme called prohydrolase. And effectively that works with the pH of your stomach to break down peptide bonds so that the amino acids are effectively freed and absorbed better in your intestine.
Right.
So you can sort of get a look at when we're formulating things, it's not literally like let's make a vegan protein and get pea protein and put it out on the market and make big money.
Get somebody to contract manufacture it, just put a label on it and sell it.
Exactly, yeah. And that is, I guess, the beauty of the information age we're in now. You have clear accessibility to contract manufacturing where they'll even do small batch runs where anyone can have a supplement brand with 300 or 400 units of a product. But with that, it's sort of like buy in low, sell high, get your profit margin and then get out of the market. But that sort of saturation then removes some of the confidence from consumers because eventually they don't see what's good from bad.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to get to. So one of the big problems in the supplement industry, and it's notorious for that, is that you've got a lot of fly-by-night operators, a lot of people who have, say, some amount of following or just created something, and then you start a supplement company, get it contract manufactured, don't care two fucks about what really happens to the consumer.
Yeah.
How do you compete in a market like that, where everybody's looking at you with thinking that what, I don't know if this is the right product or not, and it could be anything. And is it research backed? Now everybody claims it's backed with research.
Yeah.
I've not seen a single supplement company that will come and say, what, we've not done any research and you've just given something to shove it down your throat. Everybody claims to have that. how do you differentiate from those players then? Because you're a very serious player. Obviously, I've done a lot of research on what you do. Uh, don't you feel bad that the industry is getting a bad name, especially the supplementation industry? And how do you kind of say that what, we're not one of these people?
Yeah. So obviously, when I was helping Lee in the beginning, one of the stipulations there was, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. It's not going to be the cheapest way. These products are going to be, again, looking at clinical research and picking ingredients that have been shown to have clinical efficacy and dosing the products at that level. For example, again, after Sleep Stack, we moved into Liver Stack. Liver Stack has 800 milligrams of Tudke.
Wow.
So you'd be hard pressed to find any other brand that does that.
No, nobody will have that.
The cost price to make Liver Stack is insane. And if you looked at the margin of what we pay to make Liver Stack versus what it's sold at, you'd be like, that's not a business model. However, the rate of retention and the buy-in to the product is that high that just because you're not making a 70% margin, the loyalty and the customer retention makes up for that margin through volume.
Yeah.
So I said to Lee, this is going to be interesting in that, again, no proprietary blends, so everything's going to be fully disclosed.
Yeah. And this is again, proprietary blend is, man, whenever I read that, I just fucking trash it.
I mean, someone had a conversation, and I guess for this conversation, I'm not going to mention any brand names, but there is a very well-known greens powder that's sold at about triple the cost of the greens powder that I produced. Now, Greens Plus that we produced is fully disclosed. It's probably the only greens product on the market where every single ingredient, all 36 fruit, vegetable, mushroom, herb, is fully disclosed in every 11 gram serving. So of every 11 gram serving, you're getting, I think, 9.7 grams of actives.
Wow.
So it's like 86% actives.
But why do others not do it? I mean, is there a reason why people will? So I just don't understand proprietary blend. I mean, ideally, this should not be allowed legally. Because what you're doing is you're telling me to put something in my body which I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not prescription made, it's over the counter, right?
Yeah.
So I just go in one day, I see a great campaign being run by a company and looks really nice, a good brand ambassador, a good influencer, and you're just putting muck in your body.
Yeah. I mean, like that greens powder, you're spending 90 something pounds. I think I can't remember exactly what the serving size is, but when you look at it, it's a proprietary blend. So you're paying £90 for this proprietary blend, greens powder, and when you look at the first ingredient, it's spirulina. And so you're sort of like, someone asked me this question about this well-known greens powder versus greens plus. Why should I buy yours over the other one?
Right.
And it's sort of like, well, let's educate you. So this is sort of where we wash through all the BS. And it's through consumer education.
Right.
And I literally said, right, here's your pedestal £90 greens powder. Of what you're getting is probably mainly spirulina. And I showed all about a proprietary blend. The very first supplement name or ingredient in the list is what is mainly the majority of.
Right.
Spirulina costs next to nothing.
Nothing. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
The cost price of this product that is retailing at £90 for a 30 serving of it is probably working out at about £4, and they're making £90. So you can think of the profit margin for anyone that's listening.
That's the business I want to do.
You see what I mean?
Amazing.
And then you just have to pump a load of money into marketing,
Correct.
drive up the hype. The product, okay, make it taste good. Now that was one thing when we first originally launched Greens Plus, because we didn't cut any corners and everything was clearly disclosed. The taste was a bit, you could tell that you were, because we chose to include some like antimicrobial herbs like thyme, oregano, garlic, stuff that what I wanted to do is, if people aren't eating these plants or herbs in their diet, well then here's a supplement that's going to put it into their diet. The taste of the initial sort of launch of Greens Plus was okay, it was in cherry flavour and chocolate orange, but there was still like an earthiness to it. Mm-hmm. So what we went back and sort of done was, okay, let's view all the ingredients that's in it and which ones are sort of contributing to the worst taste.
Right.
And what we actually ended up finding was, we originally had aloe vera within the product.
Mm-hmm.
The batch-to-batch variation and test of aloe vera was significant.
Right.
So some batches tasted good, some batches taste really bitter, and this is just the nature of aloe vera. So
Right.
what we done was then effectively took that out of the product and looked at how can we balance the taste profile, and we then changed it over to a greens mango pineapple flavour instead of the chocolate orange, again to complement all the fruits and vegetables with more of a fruity flavour as opposed to like an artificial chocolate orange. And again, taking that feedback from the customer saying, oh, the product is amazing, it's fully transparent, but it tastes shit. So you've got someone that's telling you, I'm just buying the product because I know it's good for me, but I don't enjoy drinking it. And so that's very valuable in that you listen to that customer and go, okay, well, feedback taken on board, how can I make this better? And again, we spent about 3 months reformulating greens, plus to take out the aloe vera, find that that was the root cause to some of the taste problems, and figure out what was the best sort of flavour combination to complement all the ingredients instead of chocolate orange. Because again, chocolate orange is more like, oh, it's a fad. The orange will complement some of the tones to it, but the greens with the mango and pineapple actually taste really nice, and I enjoy drinking it now. Before even me personally, yeah, it tasted okay, but it was almost like mix it and drink it as quick as you could.
Yeah, I know most greens are like that. So, I mean, so I want to understand from you as an entrepreneur, somebody who's worked from scratch, building a product and taking feedback. You said it took you 9 months to get that protein right.
Yeah.
These are difficult times, right? Especially when you're doing some research, you don't know where it's going to end. It's like it's like going down on a rabbit hole and not knowing where it's going to lead to.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself, invested into something like that when you don't see immediate results? I think one of the big problems for entrepreneurs is we don't have something that we call delayed gratification. Nobody wants to wait. Everybody wants instant now, and that's the reason people take supplement, because they feel that there's a magic pill, and there is no magic pill.
Yeah.
I think everything takes its own sweet time. So what's been your experience with it?
I think the vegan one is a good example because when we went to put the free-form amino acids into the blend of the two proteins to bring up the amino acid content, we arrived at a point where we had one sample, and to me it tasted amazing, and the other guys were like looking at me going, "You're crazy." I'm going, "No, this is the one, and then I gave it to my wife and she's like, "You're crazy."
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on here? I think this tastes delicious. So we went through a couple of iterations of that, and I kept trying to change bits and pieces. Oh, is it that essential amino acid? Is it that essential amino acid? Effectively, like wrecking the head of our lab who are making the supplements. And eventually I was like, you know what, right? Just send me all 20 amino acids, and I'm going to taste each individual one at a time to see which one you're tasting that I can't taste. And so me and my wife were in the kitchen, and we had these 20 glasses of all the amino acids, and we're drinking them one by one, and we're like, all right, a little neutral, a little salty, oh, that's okay. And then we stumbled on one. She throws up in the sink, and I drink it, and I'm like, that's all right. And it turns out it was lysine. So when you look at the research into like palate chemistry, certain people have different views within their sort of sensitivity in their tongue towards lysine. So some people view it as very sweet, and others view it as very, very metallic and sour. All the other guys in the company and my wife, where obviously my taste, my sort of receptors see it as sweet, they see it as extremely sour and salt.
Wow.
So then we went back and I went, okay, obviously lysine is one of the essential amino acids.
It is, yeah.
In order to raise the content to whey of dairy, we had to add in, I think it was like 1.5 grams of lysine into the whole blend. Now, in order to make it something that's palatable and remove that aspect, I was like, okay, leave the free-form lysine out and let's see what it tastes like without it. And as soon as we received that sample, thumbs up. That's the one, winner. And so you can see, up until that point, I think we were like month 7 into sampling. And one day I literally just went, you know what, F off. I'm not making this anymore. This is stupid. We're not getting anywhere with this. I think this tastes like really nice. I think we should launch it. They're going, you're mental.
Yeah.
Like that we can't drink that.
I can see this because when you're so into a product, and I would say, I would just tell everybody in my company, boss, don't be a dickhead, man. Let me launch this product. I would do exactly. You lose it. At that point of time. But how did you keep your calm for the 7, 8, 9 months before the product was launched?
Yeah, I think I just kept thinking in my head, there is a space for this product. There is a niche for this product to exist. No other vegan protein has done what I'm trying to do here.
Was that the motivator? Did you see is it the big picture that made you feel that, you know what, it's worth investing so much time and money in this?
Yeah, exactly. Because effectively we're going to have this vegan range. I want people who are vegans or who are lactose intolerant to view us as sort of like that's the premium vegan protein that's on this market, where the mix is great, it tastes great, and has the same profile as whey protein. So they're not missing out on anything versus dairy whey. So it effectively kept driving me that, okay, there is a space for this product, there is a space for this product. And then, again, like I said, it was only at that point where I was like, okay, let's figure out what element, where the problem is lying in the sort of, I guess, concept of the product. Where can we figure out where's the root cause of where they're tasting something that I'm not? And it's interesting because I normally take lysine as a supplement sometimes. So lysine's very good for antiviral, for helping with heart health. So I'd normally take lysine powder just straight into my mouth and take a drink, and it's fine. And the other guys had never done that before, and when they did try it, it was the exact same thing, like I said, where they could taste this sort of metallic-y taste or a bitter taste. So when you sort of back down into that, where things aren't working out, it is a matter of, again, reassuring yourself that what you're doing is correct, and that you have to really ground yourself in, there is a requirement for this product, keep going. Because again, like I said, this was, I think it was August or September last year, and we've been developing it from like January, where I effectively was just like, right, I'm not doing this anymore, because we've done so many samples and tastings, and it's just the same thing where I think it's good, you think it's bad, there's something clearly wrong here, and that sort of led to the process of, okay, let's strip everything right back. And we know that when it's just pumpkin and pea, it tastes fine, and when the amino acids start going in, that's when it changes. So let's figure out how we can get around that problem but still address the amino acid profile of dairy whey. So we effectively, with any of the other supplements from the range, like thyroid stack, or we have like Glucox. Glucox was a product actually made for my own research towards type 2 diabetes in my dad. So effectively Glucox is like a GDA, so GDA is like a buzzword with supplements that people like, oh, we take GDA to deal with carbs when we have a cheat meal. Effectively what I looked at with GDAs was, okay, they help with glucose oxidation, to help your body deal with glucose, or they mimic insulin, but they don't look at some of the root cause mechanisms that contribute to diabetes or poor insulin sensitivity. And again, that can go back to magnesium deficiency, poor antioxidant capabilities. So what I done with Glucox was I had these list of supplements. I think there's 11 ingredients that was given to my dad separately. And then all of a sudden his type 2 diabetes, his blood sugar was falling without even the need for his medication.
Wow.
So that sort of then led to us bringing a product into the market space without saturating the market with another GDA, which was basically like berberine with Gynema or any of these other well-known GDA ingredients. This came at another spin where I had like superoxide dismutase from glycidin, which we then changed to tetrasod. So we're giving the body a source of superoxide dismutase, which protects your cells against the harmful effects of high glucose.
Right.
And then other sort of like banaba leaf and alpha-lipoic acid, other well-known ingredients that help with glucose, but it's coming at the angle of effectively taking some of the burden away from the pancreas to allow the pancreas to really focus on just basal insulin production as opposed to acute insulin production to meals. So a lot of the products have been sort of developed not from a personal pain point, but personal curiosity. So sleep stack for my own sleep, heart stack for my own heart health. Right. So effectively it's sort of been a personal endeavour that has benefited the followers of the company in the long term as well. So it's sort of been rooted on, I'm not going to make a supplement that I'm not personally going to use either. And that sort of goes back to the natural male testosterone booster. Someone said to me recently, why wouldn't you release something like that with all the hype? And it's because as a scientist, logically, there are no supplements that raise testosterone effectively over testosterone replacement therapy. Effectively, testosterone is made in your testicle via the stimulation from luteinizing hormone from your brain. So the only way you're going to make more testosterone is by having more luteinizing hormone in your body. And without sort of pharmaceutical intervention, like clomiphene or other drugs like that, that block the brain and effectively tell the brain to make more luteinizing hormone, there are no supplements that do that.
I have a question around this. There's a lot of, I mean, because you're a scientist and somebody who does this for a living. If you could tell people the correlation between HGH and IGF-1 and how do they work in tandem, because this is another big, massive topic that people speak about.
Yeah. So obviously, your brain, your pituitary makes growth hormone from, I guess you have growth hormone, releasing hormone from the hypothalamus to the pituitary. And then growth hormone will go to your liver and get converted to insulin growth factor 1, IGF-1. IGF-1 can be viewed as a proliferative hormone, so effectively it tells cells to proliferate and grow.
Yeah.
There are a lot of strategies that can effectively induce, obviously, IGF-1 conversion. From a bodybuilding perspective, we have localized IGF-1 production from muscular contractions, which leads to muscular growth in a local capacity. Or you can have, like you said, with HGH, increase in growth hormone levels of the body that goes to the liver, gets converted to IGF-1, and then is a global effect in that it's passing to all tissues of the body. So that's sort of where the proliferative or cancer risk with growth hormone comes from, because you're increasing IGF-1 globally.
Right. And do you recommend people, I see a lot of people now taking peptides, and like you spoke about, so you're not actually putting in HGH in your body, but you're putting in precursors which will help you boost the GHRPH, kind of a thing. So do you think people should go to a doctor before doing something like this, or peptide is safe? What is your take on these?
So peptides, a lot of the peptide research companies, I recently wrote a chapter for the National Academy of Sports Medicine on PEDs, and one of the aspects that I covered in it was peptides. So a lot of peptides that are commercially available have never really been studied in humans. And they've been extrapolated over to human dosages from, human equivalent dosages from rats or from other animals like rabbits, etc. The peptides, specifically either the growth hormone releasing peptides, the GHRPs.
Like ipamorelin is a very popular...
ipamorelin, or even you have your growth hormone releasing hormones like CJC. Effectively, what they're playing off is the ghrelin, leptin, growth hormone releasing axis. Where they're effectively, when you have elevated ghrelin in the body, you have elevated growth hormone.
Obviously.
So, with that, peptides, I could never say they're safe because we have lack of human safety data, but there are anecdotal evidence of people who have used these peptides proving that their IGF-1 or the growth hormone in serum has increased. It's an interesting concept. It's effectively to play off in tandem, tricking your own brain chemistry to make more of your endogenous hormone as opposed to injecting your own growth hormone. But it still plays off. You have still the whole somatotropin axis of, as your growth hormone elevates from this increased endogenous production, there is a feedback loop where what you pay is what you receive back. So it's, yes, in terms of safety, is it going to be the safer version versus human growth hormone in terms of recombinant growth hormone? I don't really think so. I think if you receive real pharmaceutical growth hormone that is prescribed, it is growth hormone. When you inject that, it is growth hormone in your body, no answers. But when you receive a peptide, from a lot of these underground companies, you're really taking a risk on the quality and the surety of what's in there is what actually should be in there. So it is a lot more risk in terms of what's in there is actually what is correct versus obtaining something that's a pharmaceutical prescription and knowing that it is what it is.
Understood. Fair point. Thank you so much, Dean. Thanks for doing this today and really appreciate it. And I think this example of how you worked on 9 months for that vegan protein should give a lot of motivation to people that, if you're focused towards doing something right, it's good to spend time on it and be patient to get the best results possible by putting in the efforts.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate Samir for asking.
Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it. Have a good day.